Yo, everybody! It's your boy Ken Dog here today on this snowy Tuesday that we have. I hope everyone, that had to go to work would, drove in safe, and for those of us off, enjoy the time off, and, I guess this is our version of White Christmas, huh? So, so yeah, so. Well, we have made it to week 17, the start of the championship matchup, week one of the championship matchup, uh, and it's going to be a good battle. So, congrats to myself and BMAC for making the chip. This will be BMAC. If BMAC wins, it'll be a second chip. If I win, it'll be my third chip. So this should be really interesting. Two vets, and we've really been battling it all year for the top of the division. So might as well end it off in a championship battle. Um, number one versus number two, respectively here. So very it's meant to be. I'll start by saying, BMAC, best of luck, man. It's going to be a fun battle here. Um, and yeah, we'll jump into it. So, um, going back to last week, here, let's take a look. We'll start with our 2-3 matchup here. This was like the close one that we had. We'll take a look here. We got week 16 going here, and BMAX squeezes by here with a 19-point win here. So it was definitely close. Dan gave it all. Dan gave it his all. Just some poor performances from like certain people like Kelsey here with a 1.6, and great game for and Bucky as well. I mean, that Tampa Bay, they just seem to they like to mix. You really don't even know who's getting in the end zone. Like, it's either Tucker, it's either Rashad White, or it's Bucky. I mean, they have literally a three, just because how well Sean Tucker has played this year. They have to include him in the mix. So it's very tough for Bucky, and then just very, very unlucky with Bucky this year, with the injury and everything. And then White was playing very well, and then Tucker came in, so it was a tough one. And then, look at that, Jason Myers, lowest scoring total with 2. I mean, think about it. Remember, he lost by 19 here, right? Look at that, he had 24, 19. Like I said before, Dan's team goes as far as the special teams and kicker goes. And unfortunately, good thing he didn't use Seattle's defense. They were playing the Rams, so it was only a matter of time the defense wouldn't be used because they had -4. So, yeah. But Bijan had a good game, but very, very weak from Kelsey here. I mean, granted, they didn't have Mahomes, and then Gardner Minshew tore his ACL. So then they had their third string in, and then by then it was Tennessee was just on top. So, so great showing, Dan. Great season for you. Finishing first in your division, and good luck next year, man. Fight on for that third place. You want to keep your your average placement up. So definitely play on. For the third place. Then looking over here on BMAX side had the most hurt probably out of everyone, unfortunately. Quinshon Junkins, unfortunately, is going to be out for the year. Tours like fibula, pretty much a lot of his bones in his leg. It was a bad tackle. And yeah, very unfortunate for that promising season for the guy. People thought coming in, man, he's gonna do what he did at Boise, but definitely not. He it was a rough year for him to begin with because first of all, he took forever to sign his contract. So people were worried he wasn't even gonna He didn't really start the first few games. He was like working in with I think it was like Samson and then Ford or whatever. Um, and then he finally came in, took over the backfield. But just because the problem is that his ceiling was limited, just because it's the Browns and they were down so much. I bet if they had started Shadur a lot earlier than they did, who knows what we would have seen from Judkins? Because he's had those games where he's broken out. But very unfortunate for Judkins. He'll come back next year stronger than ever, but that's a big hit on BMAC's team for sure. Um, and also not having Devontae, who is also, according to Sean McVay, is also going to be out as well. So bad start to the championship matchup for BMAC here without Judkins and Devontae, but he's got a deep enough bench where he could prevail. Um, Great. Wow, look, I didn't even realize Gibbs and Henry both scored 22.8. It was a weird thing, like watching the game for Henry didn't come in like the last two drives, and it was like for a game-winning drive for the Ravens. So it was a really weird uh, way to use him. Gibbs, after he struggled a little bit in the beginning of the game, I will say. I mean, look, he only had 7 carries, but look at this, 10 catches. This is where Gibbs excels. Truly, Gibbs excels when you work him in as a receiving back. You know, I mean, think about the time. Look at this. Like, think about the times where he's had these big games. Like sometimes, yeah, like Washington, yeah, he could run. I mean, he's kind of a dual threat, but I like him personally when you get him off the edge in a screen, throw like a screen pass or something, and that personally is where that will be the best. But great game from him. Nice little bounce back. And Kyle Pitts, my concern with um about Kyle Pitts was with Drake London coming back, that's gonna really put a tear in Pitts fantasy. And honestly, no. Pitts is putting up wide receiver numbers here. Kirk Cousins loves Pitts. I think that he just needed to get another game in with London to get that kind of rapport back. So we'll see what happens next week. They are playing the Rams, so definitely a more difficult matchup. But they're playing free because they're out of the playoff contention. So we'll see. We'll see what Pitts can do if he can keep that up. And poor Igbuka, man, just throughout the year, look at this. First 5 games, probably one of your wide receiver 4 or something, and then just disappeared. So, with Evans and Godwin back, it's a lot of targets, a lot of mouths to feed for Baker. So, but and then we gotta talk about T-Law for a sec, man. Whew. I mean, look at it. He's been on a tear. And granted, people thought oh wow, you did it against Tennessee, the Colts and the Jets, so there wasn't really any good defenses he did it against. But against Denver, man, look at this. He had 4 total touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, and then 1 rushing touchdown. Threw for 279 yards. I mean, I think this guy's for real, low key. I mean, last week he had 330 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, and a rushing. Whew. So T-Law is carrying his team on his back. They're going up against the Colts this week, who just got obliterated by San Francisco. So, and then they get a nice matchup against Tennessee. So, I'm definitely sure T-Law could probably keep it up. But we'll see. A lot of times they gets to people's heads, but we'll see. We'll see if T-Law can keep the noise out. You know what I mean? But overall, it was a great matchup, gentlemen. It was a close one. It was pretty much tied going into this week, but BMAC ended up prevailing. So, congrats BMAC on making the chip. And then going over here to the high scoring game, like Corey and I, honestly, respectively, just because we were the top two like scorers, I think, this year, so it was only fitting that it ended with the high scoring. So looking at this past week's matchup here, really bad week from Corey for his running backs, Dowdle and Brees Hall. Um, 8.3 respectively. I mean, Puka 46. That wasn't enough to get it done. Honestly, if he just had better performances from his running backs, who knows? And the fact that he lost Mahomes doesn't help because CJ only had 11. So, um, and then I guess Jacoby McBride and Michael Wilson are human after all, because Trey McBride was nowhere to be found. 6.7 fantasy points. It's got to be one of his lowest totals of the year. It actually was his lowest total of the year. Well, I was going to say 9.1 was his second. So, lowest total of the year for McBride, not what we're used to seeing. Wide receivers were amazing. Puka and George Pickens uh, pretty much accounted for a majority of his points, probably more than half. Um, so, on the bench here, Quentin Johnson, of course, had a game. Hampton at 16. So, um, yeah, it was a rough going for his running backs and stuff. So, uh, but that game by Puka was nuts. I was like, after that game, I was like, oh boy. I mean, granted, remember, I was up 26 going into the week, so essentially that Puka game just put him up by 20. So he had so I already had an advantage to begin with. So, um, yeah, good year for you, Corey. Great job. It was a pleasure doing a lot of trades with you as well. You and Shane were my trade guys this year. So fortunately, it didn't pan out the way that you had hoped, but got that fourth spot. You snuck in there, and better luck next year, man. Good luck. I'm sure next year you'll come back stronger than ever, as always. And yeah, it was a pleasure battling you. And there it is. So you had 136, and yeah. So you can see here, you know, our the week 16 total. So you ended up with 136, and I had 141. So it was a close week. I only had five additional points there. And yeah, so I guess that makes sense. That 46.5, 26.5. That equals 71.5. So yeah, that accounted for more than half your points. Those two guys. So, but good season, Corey. Battle it out for third place. Got to keep that average placement up for sure. And then over here on my side here, talk about James Cook carrying the way. 26 fantasy points, 117 rushing yards. Probably catching up to JT in the number one for number one rushing yards, but I don't know. We'll see. JT ended up having a decent day, 16.9. Um, only concern a little bit was George Kittle. He did um, say he had an ankle injury. He like kind of left like midway through the fourth. Um, they're saying they don't think he doesn't think it's a high ankle sprain, but I'm sure we'll find out more. So we will see what happens with Kittle, because that's he had a monster game, 24 and a half fantasy points, 115 yards, and a touchdown. So he's been a big focal point since Brock Purdy has come back. So um yeah, and then yeah, Brock. Speaking of Brock Purdy, he has been on a tear. 5 total touchdowns he threw yesterday against the Colts. 295 yards, 5 touchdowns, same amount of yards as last week. Um, he's been on one heck of a tear since the bye, and they control their own destiny. So if they win out, they're going to get the 1 seed. And then Jacoby, like I said, is human, 10 points, ever since having like 19, 18 the last like 7 weeks. So gets a nice soft matchup against Cincinnati, but we'll see what happens there. But best of luck. So I guess best of luck to myself. But great matchup, Corey. It was a pleasure battling you, and we'll see you again next year. Before we get into the future matchup, I want to talk about who is probably gonna. Let's talk about the scoring leaders, and let's kind of go through, you know, who pretty much. I'm gonna. We could call it and be like who ended up as like QB1, running back one, wide receiver one of the year. So let's kind of like look at that for a second. It'd be kind of fun, I think. So if we look at our QB, Josh Allen, QB1 this year, as expected. I think he finished QB1 last year too. Um, but I mean, just he had those games, 8 points, 15 points, and all 6 points. But you know, good for Josh Allen, our previous MVP. So great to see him as the QB1 spot. If we go to our running back one, I mean, it's pretty much expected here. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, it's what people say. When Christian McCaffrey is healthy, he is the best fantasy player in the world. I mean, it's truly incredible. He had 32 fantasy points last week, or last night actually. It's always a risk with him because he's getting up there in age and that workload he still has the workload. So but it's a risk somebody's willing to take. If you take that risk and he stayed healthy the whole season, which honestly this is kind of incredible, but he stayed healthy the whole season. So Vinny actually ended up lucking out for that. Can you imagine somebody else taking him? How much that would have been nuts. Um, so Christian McCaffrey is our RB1, our wide receiver one. Um, Overtook from JSN is Puka. They're probably really close, but like Puka right now is our wide receiver one. And as expected, like throughout this whole year he's been killer. Same with JSN, but um, Stafford really likes Puka. I personally don't like him, but he's a great player. He's a good wide receiver. And Corey got a stud in him for sure. So, and then we look at our tight end one, no question. Trey McBride, Corey again picking another tight end one there. I mean, this guy is he gets fed like it is unbelievable. Like, look at these targets. Like, I mean, he had the least amount of targets was 7 the whole season. So that just goes to show you how much they run their offense through him. Um, and we'll see what happens with Kyler next year. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Jacoby's been playing really well. I'm sure they're going to probably try to roll with Kyler because he's technically their guy. But, I mean, listen, Jacoby might be able to find a job elsewhere as a starter. Trust me, there are some teams that could use him, like the Jets. So, and our defense and kicker, no question about it. Seattle, number one, Dan. No question. I mean, they have just been like putting up numbers. I mean, only 2 games with negative, but the rest have been really solid games. So, and then same with the kicker, no question about it. It is. Well, I gotta search him up. Jason Myers, obvious kicker number one. Like look at this, putting up flex numbers the last few weeks. The last actually six weeks. So Jason Myers, our kicker number one, because nobody. I mean, Seattle, they're killing it. So yeah, so we got QB1, um, we got Josh Allen, running back one, we got Christian McCaffrey, our receiver one, we got Puka, tight end, we got Trey McBride, and then defense and kicker, Seattle and Jason Myers. So those are your number ones for this year in terms of fantasy points. Um, that sounds about right, to be honest. um, because I mean, besides the Puka being wide receiver one, I wouldn't have expected him to be one. I was expecting probably Jamar Chase, the preseason, as always, like he always is. But things happen, and so congrats to those people who had those players in their team. Definitely probably carry them a majority of the time. Fortunately for Corey and Dan, they've had two of those players, and they are both out. So that is rough. Um, but yeah. But all right, let's move on to our championship matchup. Here it is myself taking on BMAC. I'm not sure if the lineups are fully set. We have to kind of wait for reports and stuff. But for now, let's take a look here at what we have going. So looking over on BMAC's side, we'll see how he works the waiver wire in. But he's going with T-Law, Gibbs, Henry, Jameson Williams, Egbuka, Kyle Pitts, Harold Fannin, Broncos, and Kyami Fairbairn. So, great. Makes sense to start Trevor, and he's going with the two tight end strat. So let's see what happens there. Over on my side here, I'm running with Purdy this week. Hopefully we get that connection with Juwan Jennings and George Kittle. And I'm running with Deebo Samuel this week against Dallas's horrific defense. So we'll see what happens with that. Currently they have the projections at 129 to 114. So, it doesn't matter because it's a 2-week championship matchup. So we will see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lean anybody yet because it's the first week. We got 2 weeks to prove ourselves. So we will see what happens. But BMAC, I want to wish you the best of all luck to you. It's been a pleasure battling you in this division, and we're gonna settle the score for real here. So best of luck to you, and we will then do a week 18 next week. So alrighty, everyone. Well, that's probably going to do it for this video here. I wanted to get this one in just a little bit early just because tomorrow is Christmas Eve and Christmas. So I hope everyone has a safe and, happy, fun, merry Christmas with your family, friends and family. Hope you guys get everything that you want. We get some football on Thursday, which is great. And that's going to be on Netflix for those wanting to know. So on Netflix. So we do have football Thursday. I think we have Thursday, and that might be it. Is it just Thursday and then going into Sunday? Oh, there's Saturday games too. Okay, so there are Saturday games. So we have Thursday, Saturday, and a Sunday games as well. Yep, right here. Thursday, Saturday, and then the rest are Sunday, and then we have our Monday night game. So, yeah. So we'll have to see how those go. So Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday. So lots more football for us for the to end the new year here. But we are 2 weeks away, so I have 2 more videos left for you. And then that's gonna be ending the year for fantasy for sure. So we'll do a video for week 18, and then at the end we'll do like a recap video, and then that'll be it. But like I said, hope everyone enjoys their Christmas. And Kenny's Corner is signing out for this week. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace.